It's hard to believe that it's been a full year since Canon engineers were completing the testing on their fully finished R6 Mark III camera.
The Canon R6 Mark III have been seeded into the hands of the Canon ambassadors.
The R6 Mark III isn't some sort of wild rumor. It's real, and it's out there. It's in the wild. It's in the hands of testers, photographers, and videographers.
Folks who normally will take these cameras all covered in black tape and test them out and give feedback.
Why won't this thing fire? I just had it serviced.
I don't understand. The shutter won't click. The shutter won't click, and I can't see anything.
However, the engineers developing this cutting-edge product couldn't possibly have foreseen the waves of setbacks, challenges, and revisions that would lay ahead for their apparently already made product. Friends, we'll soon be seeing the R6 Mark III on Best Buy shelves during our holiday shopping excursions and on the sidelines of high sporting events and luxury fashion shoots. But it'll be easy to lose appreciation for the fact that the story of the development of this incredible piece of imaging technology was a tale of human triumph and ingenuity, fraught with peril and challenges like has rarely been told in our generation. But fortunately, an elite group of reporters I like to think of as a frontline organization reporting every hearsay encountered as definitive have chronicled this tale so that today we may remember and celebrate the epic journey that was the completely true development story of the Canon EOS R6 Mark III. The R6 Mark III began its life as most a mere dream, a gleam in the eye of photographers who gazed into the distance and pined for faster readout speeds, more megapixels, Canon Log 2, and a full-size HDMI port. But please, Canon, R6 Mark III, C Log 2, please and thank you. Canon engineers did what they could to make this dream a reality when they realized they could shove the guts of the enormous R3 camera into an R6 body, a tradition dating back to the origins of the R6 line. A Mark I version of the EOS R6. So I also have some review content about that camera, which I found to be extremely frustrating when putting it to regular work because it was basically like the guts of a 1DX Mark III DSLR crammed into a little mirrorless camera body. It presented a lot of problems such as overheating, poor battery life, and even sometimes locking up. And delivered in time for Christmas 2024.
It will be inheriting the 24 megapixel fully stacked backside illuminated sensor from the R3 with a readout of 5.5 milliseconds.
The R6 Mark III will have a 24 megapixel stacked sensor, the Digic Accelerator AI chip, 6K up to 30 frames per second, 4K up to 120 frames per second. Early this morning, on the eve of October, Canon Rumors tells us there are plenty of rumors that the R6 Mark III would be announced towards the end of 2024. And for those of you hoping to see a resolution boost from 24 megapixels to something higher, like maybe, 26, 30, or 33 megapixels, yeah, it doesn't look like that's going to happen.
And we're hearing for the first time that it will include the Digic Accelerator chip.
That Digic Accelerator chip, Canon's new AI chip, which first appeared in the R5 Mark II back in August.
Additionally, with 4K 120, you're going to get Full HD 240.
However, this plan proved too ambitious for Canon's development team. As the first of what would be many setbacks, they missed their delivery deadline, but forged ahead undeterred, continuing to improve the product's technological suite while setting new delivery goals for the 2025 calendar.
Considering the fact that really everything on the Canon calendar seems to have been pushed forward just a little bit, I think we might get this announcement towards the beginning of next year.
Everything that we can see here points towards a Q1 announcement of the R6 Mark III.
The R6 Mark III is not only coming, but it is definitely coming in the first quarter of 2025.
By altering the timeline, Canon realized they could improve the product's appeal by including technological surprises like the inclusion of an OLED display suite and a cutting-edge thermal architecture for unlimited recording times.
Canon will be using an OLED screen on the back instead of an LCD.
OLED display.
And it looks like the R6 Mark III is going to have a new heat management system. And I've got good news, lots of good news. The information that we have is validated.
So now we have some additional corroboration for some of the other specifications that we'd seen in the past.
But the validated specs on Canon Rumors indicates that we're only getting 30 frames per second. Are those a better 30 frames per second? I don't know. The R6 III isn't going to get Canon Log 2.
However, as this completely verified reporting reminds us, Canon remained apprehensive as to whether this feature set would be enough to appease its insatiable customer base. Ultimately, these customers' concerns would prevail as Canon's engineers delayed the camera again, retreating back to the drawing board to devise a solution. But it wasn't going to come fast, and it wasn't going to come cheap.
Canon EOS R6 Mark III is delayed. Don't expect it to come out in Q1. That most likely it's going to be a Q2 announcement. But with a 24% tariff, the Canon EOS R6 Mark III goes to $3099. Now, if we go back to 2024, there was rumors that we were supposed to have that camera announced, the R6 Mark III, on its 2-year anniversary around November the 2nd. But then that date came and went, and then we were told that Q1, January of 2025. Well, January came and went, and so did Q1, and here we are at the end of, well, essentially Q2 with just 1 month left to go.
About the Canon R6 Mark III, because this camera was rumored to be announced in May, but it seems to have been delayed.
With the R6 Mark III, which has been reportedly pushed from a planned May release in 2025 to maybe even late next year.
In the meantime, Canon Rumors posted a new set of possible specs. You can see it here. I don't know how reliable those specs are as of now, but it looks like the camera will use the same 24 megapixel sensor of the R3.
So in terms of a second half announcement, you know what? That seems to make an awful lot of sense to me. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens.
The Canon R6 Mark III is coming on or shortly before the September 15.
What Canon did next shocked the world, leaving the photography community stunned. They hunkered down and prepared to make their move in June. Then, late in the year 2026, then before August 2025, then September 15th, 2025, and then at the end of 2025, and then back in October 2025, and back to September 2025, and all the while they were bewildering photographers with these completely true announcement plans. They were secretly engineering a completely new sensor for their product, a sensor that accomplished exactly what the first sensor did, but new.
And what we can plainly see here is that it's supposed to be getting a brand new 24 megapixel sensor, that it's going to have a stacked sensor, and that the readout speed is going to be somewhere between the R1 and the EOS R5 Mark II.
Stacked CMOS sensor, a new CMOS sensor.
Very fast. I mean, that's between 6.3 milliseconds to 2.7 milliseconds. That's very fast.
We're also hearing more about the viewfinder. That would be a OLED with higher resolution and an LCD that may actually get replaced and no longer be LCD technology, but to be an OLED as well, with a multi-vari-angle display instead of the type of display that we get now.
There might be a delay in the release of the Canon EOS R6 Mark III, which could push the release into late Q4 or early 2026.
With their backs against the wall, the R6 Mark III engineering team refused to accept defeat. Seconds remain on the clock. Canon photographers eagerly polished their pitchforks. Apparently, it was only this extreme pressure which could produce a brilliant idea that, again, according to dead sure reporting, had never occurred to them until this very moment, 2 months before what would turn out to be the product launch date. They developed and manufactured an entirely new sensor and camera, which was completely different in almost every regard from the camera they had definitely been developing for over 2 years, from scratch, in a matter of hours.
The sensor is going to be a normal, non-partially stacked or fully stacked sensor, so this is not a super fast sensor they're going to use on the Canon R6 Mark III, but it will have a new flexible rear screen, it will have RAW capture, improved autofocus, probably 20 to 30 frames per second, and the possible release date of this camera is within the next 4-6 months, which means most likely in January, February of 2026.
Canon has 2 upcoming announcement dates, November the 16th, which is a Sunday, and November the 26th, which is the eve of US Thanksgiving.
Basically, the R6 Mark III will not be released in mid-September, but between late September and early October.
The long-awaited Canon EOS R6 Mark III will finally be announced in late November.
Still expecting a third, likely fourth quarter announcement.
These dates are 99% accurate unless something goes sideways. Well, a source came forward early Friday morning and told me that the Canon EOS R6 Mark III would be announced on November the 6th.
With the momentum of this incredibly rapid accomplishment at their backs, the team decided 2026 wasn't soon enough. They pulled all the stops, working what must have been excruciating hours to manufacture the sensor they just invented in time for a late November announcement, and then pulled their punches again for an early November. Or they didn't pull their punches. Like, I don't really know sports metaphors, but it was, it was the 1-2 punch thing. It was like late November and then early November, and finally they settled on November 6th, 2025 to send the R6 Mark III into its final stages of testing. Again. For the last time.
The R6 Mark III is in the final stages of testing, and they believe that it will use the 32 megapixel sensor that we just saw in the recently announced EOS C50. Now, I feel like I've been saying that for weeks, more than weeks, like a month or two.
The Canon EOS R6 Mark III is going to have dual SD card slots.
Still expecting dual SD card slots.
And we're getting Canon Log 3. Now, apparently it's not going to do Canon Log 2. We're being told that it's not going to have the same 16 stops that we get. And this is interesting. In the C50,
I do think that they'll continue to keep dual SD cards here.
the R6 Mark III is going to have passive venting, same as what we see in the Canon EOS R5 Mark II.
I do think that we're going to get some additional venting and improved cooling opportunities.
And along with that battery grip, well, it gives it a fan for active cooling, keeping it cool when you're shooting endless hours of video.
I definitely expect 6K coming out of this sensor with the Digic X and the Digic accelerator. The R6 Mark III is slated for November 6th. Expecting HDMI full-size port, an improved EVF with 5.76 million dots, and C-Log 3.
But apparently the photographers waiting at the finish line were unhappy again because literally weeks before this massive product shipped, Canon engineers had to remove its 5.76 million dot EVF Digic accelerator chip, OLED multi-angle screen, HD240 recording and cooling systems to upgrade one of the card slots and install C-Log 2. But now, finally, the R6 Mark III made its way into the world, satisfying obsessed photographers, tech fanatics, and even tempting brand loyalists and agnostics alike. It was a last-minute hail victory like the world has seldom seen and may never see again. I invite you to remember the sacrifice of those Canon engineers, the flak taken on the press battlefield, the late nights spent away from their families in the lab, the moments of self-doubt they must have suffered to pull off this 99-yard line upset. Maybe it was a 1-yard line upset. Again, I don't know very much about sports. What I do know is today we celebrate you, Canon engineer. May your epic accomplishment live in glory. And as for you, viewer, as always, you keep an eye out and a foot forward. And thanks for watching. See you next time.
That makes me feel good because I don't put out videos just to get clicks. I mean, I do want to see the clicks. I'm an overachiever. I want to see my videos do very, very well. But I want them to be based on a foundation of truth and transparency. I'm not one of those people who just wants to do everything for that almighty dollar. That's not me. I'm too old. It's